Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm in the kitchen today. It's summer, and so the temperatures here in my zone 7A have been, oh my goodness, we've had a heat index of 107 for the past few days. So it's been really hard to spend a lot of time outside in the garden. So I'm spending more time on the inside trying to preserve the garden harvest and do what I can on the inside instead of spending more hours on the outside. So today I'm in the kitchen and we're gonna do a preservation method for tomatoes that is super easy. This is my first time doing it, so I wanted to take you guys along with me on this journey. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. And then if you've been here before and you're one of my faithful followers, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So today I have a bowl of cherry tomatoes from the garden. They are mostly pineapple tomatoes and sun gold tomatoes. So I was looking up a way to deal with my cherry tomatoes. I've used them in some tomato sauce. I've used them in salsa so far, but I wanted to try something new. So I saw this on another YouTube channel, and I was like, man, that's interesting. I'm going to try it. So I thought I would bring you guys along with me as I try this new recipe for preserving tomatoes. We're actually going to preserve them in olive oil, so it does not require any canning. It does at all. And all it is going to require is for us to have some tomatoes, and then the end product is going to go in the refrigerator, right? So if you can make space for a jar in the refrigerator, then I think this might be for you. So this is super easy. I've already picked the tomatoes and I've already washed them. So what I'm going to do is just de-stem them and just take the stem off and then just put them in a roasting pan, any type of roasting sheet. I just pulled the first thing I saw, which is one of my stoneware pans. So I'm just going to put that in here. And one of the things that I'm finding is trying to find multiple ways to preserve really big harvest, right? So this year, when I say God has sent the harvest, He has sent the harvest. So I'm trying to preserve when I can, because I really don't have an all-day type of situation set up where I can just can and preserve all day long. So I've been using various methods, and I've showed you guys some of those. I've been freezing stuff, I've been dehydrating stuff, I've been canning stuff, I've done the water bath canning so far. I haven't done any pressure canning this summer, but it's coming. And so this is a way that I can preserve something that I keep getting a lot of, which is cherry tomatoes, in a very quick and easy way, and it's something new for me to try. So I always encourage you to, if you've been doing something the same old way all the time, always look and see what you can do different, right? What you can do different. And I'm cutting off a bad spot on this tomato, but you can see on the small tomatoes, I'm not even cutting them. I have some large red cherry tomatoes. I'm going to cut those just so they're not so big. And I'm just cutting them in the pan. I'm not even going to get out my cutting dish for this. And then the sun gold tomatoes, which are these, they're pretty small. I'm just taking the stems off and just throwing them in here as is. So I would love to know what other ways you guys are preserving your tomatoes. So like I said, so far I've made tomato sauce for the first time. I didn't do a video on that. I also made salsa. I didn't do a video on that. If you guys want to see a video, let me know. And because the tomato sauce was my first time, I wanted to kind of get comfortable with which way I was going to do it and be successful before I kind of just brought it on camera. It was absolutely my first time doing it. So, yeah. And so this is the third way that I'm going to do the tomatoes. I also plan to make more salsa because I only made 3 jars of salsa. When I looked at the recipe, it said for 8 jars, but it was 8 half-pint jars. I'm like, who eats salsa in a half a pint jar? Nobody does that. So anyway, I ended up getting 4 instead of 8. So I got to make more salsa because fresh salsa I like, and that's something good to have on hand for like snacks and stuff. So I thought that would be good. But I would love to know what other ways you guys are preserving your tomatoes. I do plan to make ketchup. I plan to make barbecue sauce and spaghetti sauce. So the tomato sauce that I made on last week was just a plain tomato sauce, like plain, no seasonings. And so I would just season it up whenever I get ready to use it. So we'll see how that goes. I prefer things to be seasoned. But if I was going to season it, I was going to have to pressure can it. And I already had my water bath canner going. And so I didn't want to change direction. So we just kept it as is and followed the recipe. That's what we did. So this recipe that I'm doing today, we're going to preserve the tomatoes in olive oil. And so olive oil is a preservative that you can use. And so it'll be like nice roasted tomatoes that you'll have in the fridge that you can pull out to put on top of pasta. You can put it on top of, I'm planning to use like maybe on top of focaccia or bruschetta. I think you can probably do it on salads. So whatever you want that nice summer tomato flavor in the middle of the winter, I think that'll be really, really, really nice. I'm excited about it. So I'm gonna finish chopping these up, and then we're gonna put them in the oven for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna finish chopping these up and then I'll bring you guys back. Okay, so this worked out perfectly. I got a pan and they all fit in there. So again, I have some pineapple tomatoes, sun gold cherry tomatoes, and then red cherry tomatoes. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna drizzle it with some olive oil. So I like this brand, the Napa Valley. So I'm just gonna drizzle it with some olive oil. Shake it up a little bit. That probably was more than a drizzle, but you can't have too much olive oil, right? And then you're gonna just sprinkle it with some salt. So you can use regular salt, but I'm gonna be a little fancy because I made some Tuscan herb salt. I wish y'all could smell this. It smells so good. So I'm gonna sprinkle some of this because I think it'll be, oh, it smells so good. If you guys are interested, I'll do a video on how I made this. But basically, I took some salt and I infused it with herbs. It has lemon thyme in it, basil, oregano, rosemary. There's one more. Oregano, lemon thyme, basil, rosemary, and garlic. That's what it was. It smells, I can't quit smelling it. It smells so good. So you can see the color of it. But I'm gonna sprinkle some of this on it. I gotta get my shaker, my salt shaker. So get a spoon, that might be better. I'm using my, because I think that'll give it a nice taste, especially like for pasta and stuff like that. Don't you think? I think so. It also has like a little bit of chili pepper in it. Very, very faint. Very faint. Okay. So you can see that there. Oh, it looks so good. Okay, so we're gonna pop this in the oven. It's been on preheating for 400 degrees. So I'm gonna pop it in there for 20 minutes, just enough for it to kind of roast, caramelize a little bit, but where it's still intact. So we're gonna pop it in the oven, then I'll bring you back and I'll show you the final step. Yes, final. This is all it is. Tomatoes in the pan, drizzle it with some olive oil, sprinkle some salt on it, put it in the oven. That's what we're about to do now. Okay, so I just have like a regular mason jar, and so we're just gonna scoop the tomatoes into the jar. And the tomatoes are pretty much still intact. Let me see if I can bring you closer. It smells good, like really good. And we're just gonna press them on down in there. See, it's getting pretty full, but you wanna leave like an inch of head space. So I may have to take some of these out. You can see that in there. Let's see if I can stick a few more in here. Then I'm gonna put a clove of garlic. This is garlic that I grew from the garden. So, and the garlic is optional. You can put some sprigs of rosemary in here, or a clove of garlic. So I have rosemary, but it's out in the garden and I don't feel like going out there to get it. So for now, we're just gonna put the garlic in here. So we're gonna put the garlic in here. And because I like garlic, I'm gonna put 2 cloves because I can. You can put however much you want in there. So we'll put that in there. Stick that in there. And then I'm just gonna take a knife and stick it all down in there and get all the bubbles out. You can see. And then you're just gonna take the olive oil and cover it. So the olive oil, the key to this is that the olive oil has to be covering the tomatoes, right? So if you take and scoop some out, you just replace the olive oil so the where it's always covering the tomatoes, because that's how it's gonna stay preserved. The olive oil is gonna preserve it when you pop it in the refrigerator. So if you take some out to put on some pasta, and obviously you can scoop some of this good olive oil out as well and drizzle it on your pasta or whatever the case may be. But if the olive oil gets below the tomatoes, just add more olive oil, top it off, and put it back in the refrigerator. It's just that simple. Y'all, let me see. It's hot because it just came out of the thing. But look at that. Yikes. That was a fail. I spilled some olive oil on the floor. Yeah, and so again, because this requires, quite a bit of olive oil, if you don't want to use your good olive oil, then don't. You can just use, maybe a cheaper variety that you buy at the store, because again, the olive oil is just to preserve it, right? You're not going to large in part be eating or consuming the olive oil. Now you can scoop some of it out, like I said, to put on pasta, but large in part, if you don't want to use your expensive olive oil, then don't, right? But basically, I'm just going to screw a top on this, stick it in the fridge. Well, first I'm gonna label it so I remember what it is. And when I did it, stick it in the fridge. And literally, y'all, this will last through the winter. Okay, guys, here is the finished product. You can see that. And then I got another half pint jar, so you can see how that looks. I can't wait to try it. It'll last through the winter until next spring, for sure. So the thing is, just don't forget that you have it in there. But when it's time for pasta, when it's time for focaccia, when it's time for bruschetta, you can pull some of this out, put it on top of there, and boom, you have the taste of summer in the winter. See how easy that was? That was super, super easy. I cannot wait to try it. This is my first time. So I hope that this helped. I hope that this was a good little, video to show you some easy way to preserve your tomatoes. And without all the hassle of canning and chopping and dehydrating or whatever method you want to do. So this is just one more tool to add to your preservation toolbox. So thank you so much for joining in. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to my channel. Please tell a friend, share it on your social media. And remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. And now I got to get up this olive oil off the floor. See you next time.